Okay, let's look at finding the derivative, doing some product and quotient rule practice here. So we're going to look at different problems and first identify them as which rule we're going to use, but also ones that are going to require some algebraic simplifying as well. So if I look at this first problem here, we have our product rule and our quotient rule. This one definitely want to use the product rule. Okay, so we're going to call this first parentheses is my u and the second parentheses is v. And what I like to do here is just make a little list of all my terms so that once I do my formula u prime v plus uv prime, I kind of have everything written over here at the right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. U is going to be this, and then v is going to be 2 natural log of x. So u prime, we're just going to take the derivative here, is going to be 8x cubed minus 6x, right? We bring the 2 down, subtract 1 from the exponent. And then v prime is going to be 2 divided by x. Okay, so let's go ahead and calculate the derivative now. And we're first going to just write everything out. So we're going to have u prime, which is 8x cubed minus 6x. And then we have 2 natural log of x. And then we're going to add uv prime. Okay, so uv prime is going to be 2x to the 4th minus 3x squared. And that's going to be multiplied by 2 divided by x. Okay, so in the first part, there's not really anything to simplify. So we're going to kind of leave that for a second, but I do want to simplify here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So let's just do that first. And then I'm going to write it over x. So we're actually going to have one fraction here. So we're going to multiply by 2. So 2x squared becomes 4x squared. And then minus 6x squared, right? Actually, sorry, this is 2x to the 4th here. I got to write this correctly. So let's fix that. So we have 2x to the 4th minus 3x squared, right? So we're going to write this as 4x to the 4th. We're just multiplying by 2 here, minus 6x squared, and then everything's divided by x. Well, notice when you do this, right, one of the x's is going to cancel out from every term. So if I do that, now I can write my final answer. The beginning part is not going to change, but what I do here at the end is going to change. So I get 8x cubed minus 6x, 2 natural log of x. And then this is going to become plus 4x cubed minus 6x. Notice how an x cancels from both of those, and then this one goes away. So that's going to be your final answer for the derivative there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So if we look at the next one, right, this is going to be a quotient rule, and we'll call the numerator is going to be f and the denominator is going to be g. So again, let's make a list here, and then we'll be able to simplify from there and write everything out. So f prime is going to be 12x squared minus 2. And then we have g is 3x squared minus 5. So my g prime is going to be, bring the 2 down, 6x. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write out my formula here. And I'm going to get f prime of x equal to f prime g minus fg prime. Okay, so this is going to require some simplifying, but we'll do this in a second. So f prime, I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses. And then my g is 3x squared minus 5. And then minus fg prime, right? So 4x cubed minus 2x times g prime, which is 6x. And this is all over 3x squared minus 5, well, quantity squared. Okay, because we're going to take that g squared. Okay, well, now we got to do some simplifying. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to write this all out. And really, all we got to do is the numerator, because this, you can leave this as it is. So I'm going to have 12x squared times 3x squared is going to give me 36x to the 4th. Negative 5 times 12x squared is going to be negative 60x squared minus 15x squared plus 25. And then here I'm going to go ahead and distribute the negative as I do this. So I'm going to get minus 24x to the 4th and then plus 12x squared. Okay, so now I can simplify, okay? And so I got, you just got to kind of look at, let's first do this. We'll write this all over 3x squared minus 5 quantity squared, right? And then we'll get our final answer here. So final answer here, we can combine things a little bit and let's figure this out. So we got 36 minus 24 is going to leave us with 12x to the fourth. And then we have negative 60 minus 15 plus 12, right? So we're going to have negative 75 plus 12 is going to leave us with negative 63x squared plus 25. And that is all going to be over the quantity of 3x squared minus 5 quantity squared. Okay, so you can see there, this is going to be our final answer here, and we've simplified this pretty much as we can. We could multiply this out, but I don't think it's necessary. Okay, let's look at one more here we're going to do, which is 3 times the cubic root of x squared times 4x cubed minus 6x. All right, so this is a little more complicated one, but really my u is going to be this first term, and my v is going to be what's in parentheses here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make my list here. And now when I rewrite this, I'm going to actually write this as x to the 2/3 because that's a lot easier to do in terms of when we're doing calculus to write it as a fraction. So we got 3x to the 2/3, and then our v is 4x cubed minus 6x. Okay, so let's get u prime here, and this one is a little more tricky, so we might do this in 2 steps. We bring the 2/3 down, and then when we subtract, we're actually going to get negative 1/3 when we subtract 1 from the exponent. So if we simplify this, the 3's cancel out, right? So these 2 3's are going to cancel, and what we're going to have here for u prime is going to be just 2x to the negative 1/3. Okay, and v prime is a little easier. We're just going to use the power rule here, 12x squared minus 6. Okay, so let's set up our problem now, and we'll simplify as much as we need to. I would rewrite this also as 3x to the 2/3, so let's just put that real quick before we go ahead and do this. We're going to use 3x to the 2/3 because that's a little easier than writing it this way. And we're going to see how some things can be simplified here. Okay, so we got u prime, which we said was 2x to the negative 1/3. And that's times v. And then we have plus uv prime. Okay, so that's going to be 3x to the 2/3. And then we'll have 12x squared minus 6. Okay, now we still got some work to do, right? So what I like to say for this type of stuff is we're going to distribute everything, and you want to multiply the numbers, add the exponents. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And it's not super hard when we have a fraction here, but it does require a little more thought. We're going to do 2 times 4 is 8. And then negative 1/3 plus 3. Well, 3 is like 9 over 3, so that's going to leave me with 8/3. Okay, let's write that correctly. That's going to be 8 over 3. And then let's do it again. Here we got negative 1/3 plus 1 in this case, and the numbers multiply to 12. So this is going to leave me with positive 2/3. We'll see if we can combine these later. And now let's do this one. So we're going to have 3x to the 2/3 times 12x squared. So we're actually going to add these. So that's going to be like 6 over 3. So we're going to have now 36x to the 8 over 3 minus 18x to the 2/3. Okay, and look at what we got here. We can actually combine both of these. So we're only going to have 2 terms in the end here. So we're going to get 8 plus 36 will give us 44x to the 8/3. And then minus 12 minus 18 is going to leave us with negative 30x to the 2/3. Okay, and there's nothing more that we can do to simplify this, so we're all done. We have our derivative there.